Hello everybody and welcome to another card discussion video. Drowned City spoilers are still going, and they are still, actually by the time that this video comes out, there's going to be cards that we're not talking about here. Wow. It's December 30th as we're talking about all these cards.
It's true. It's
And,
December 30th.
It is. Almost 2024 is done.
Almost.
So as always, Eric and I are going to talk about these cards. I'm going to give my thoughts on them and let Eric give their thoughts on them, and it's going to be a fantastic time. First up, we got the backside reveal of Agatha Crane. You and I already talked about the front side and her signatures and all that.
Yes.
So I'll just do a little refresher. She has a reaction when your turn ends. If you sealed, canceled, or ignored one or more chaos tokens this round, play a spell or inside event from your discard pile after that event resolves, removed from the game. So she has some built-in recursion. Her deck size is 35, and she has two, so that she has a Mystic and a Seeker. Both of them are 35s.
That's interesting.
Which kind of like what I've noticed in recent, with the current designers, with the recent investigators, is they generally use 35 as a balancing tool for power, right? So like George Barnaby, who we've seen in this box, he has a deck size of 35. And Agatha does as well, because George Barnaby has a lot of card draw. Agatha has a lot of recursion, so it makes sense that there should be something, I think, fairly to balance that out a little bit. Because this might sound crazy to people who like loading their decks with cards, but the more cards you have in your deck, generally the worse it is.
Yeah.
Just not like in like a full, like always the case, but like there's a reason why in all games when you want to build the smallest deck possible, right?
Or in games like MTG or reasons like games will have, you can only have so many sets of cards.
Yes,
like
exactly.
in MTG with one of the, and this is probably going to be ancient to people out there who don't play any of these formats anymore. In the ancient days of a 60-card deck with a maximum of 4 each,
yes,
your deck was actually technically a lot smaller.
Yes, yeah. So like it's one of those things that just like it'll just mean that finding key things in your opening hand is going to be slightly harder.
Yeah.
However, you make up with that with some great recursion in the case of Agatha's ability.
Well, and there's tech in the game too that allows you to have smaller deck sizes, right?
Yeah, it generally comes with other restrictions on it, but like they're not for her. Most of the stuff actually makes your deck bigger, but you have some you get some powerful quote unquote powerful abilities to go with that. Notably, her Seeker card, her Seeker side is Seeker 0 to 5, neutral card 0 to 5, inside events 0 to 3, and up to 10 other level 0 Mystic cards. The Mystic side is reverse. It's Mystic 0 to 5, Spell 0 to 3, and up to 10 other level 0 Seeker cards.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think Agatha is going to be a fun investigator to play, but I really wish the traits on those were switched.
Yeah.
Because insights live in the Seeker class and spells live in the Mystic class. So it actually isn't doing too much to you, when you choose the yellow side and you get Seeker 0 to 5 and Insight 0 to 3, and most of them end up being Seeker cards anyway. Opposite of that for the Mystic side.
Yeah, I wish it was flipped, because otherwise what I see here is a card that is, and I hate to say it, but almost unnecessarily powerful. Like, if you want to be a Mystic, but flex a little bit into some of the really good Seeker cards, which you can find at level 0, purple's perfect.
Yes.
I'm not so sure about the level 0 Mystic cards, but I assume there's lots of really good ones in that too.
They are, but unfortunately most of them are upgrade. You want to have them to upgrade into higher level Mystic cards.
So the purple is just kind of generally a better...
I think it depends, because like the thing about the Seeker is that Seeker is a strong pool, right? But it is true that like you could probably do a lot with those 10 level 0 Seeker cards. Like you could probably do a lot with them.
I'm just thinking for flex specifically.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that just generally though, like, so the nice thing that the Mystic cards have, the level 0 ones, and I imagine we're going to see stuff in this, is that most of this, when your turn ends, sealed, cancel, or ignored, are going to exist in level 0 Mystic. So they're kind of like there to help support that part of it.
Yeah.
And I imagine we're going to see some more of that in the actual set itself too. But yeah. Honestly, even though we've seen her entire backside, her two backsides, Agatha Crane is a tough nut to crack, but I think that I just wish those two things were switched. And honestly, if they tabooed them to switch them in the future, I wouldn't think that's a bad idea. I just think that it makes a bit more sense. Also, because her flavor is like a scientist who starts to go into the paranormal.
Yeah.
So it kind of like fits better, not opposed to just a scientist or paranormal.
Okay, now here's the real question. Here's the hard question.
Yeah.
Which background looks better on her?
Definitely Mystic. I think purple's better.
Really? I can't agree.
Really?
I think the yellow was way better with her color scheme.
That is fair. Yellow and red go better together, but I also just noticed the bloom a bit more around her on the yellow one. She feels a bit more in there, but
yeah,
purple's also my favorite color, so
fair.
I'll always choose that. All right, next up, this one. We got Captivating Performance. So this is another one of the specialist cards, which means you can only take it if you are one of the listed traits, which are Dreamer, Performer, and Sorcerer for this one. This is a 3-cost, 3-experience asset, limit 1 per investigator. As a reaction after you perform 3 different types of actions in a row, exhaust Captivating Performance. Take an additional action, which must be a different type from all the other actions you have taken this turn. Types include Activate, Draw, Engage, Evade, Fight, Investigate, Move, Play, and Resource. And also, not basic action, so Parlay is also here as well. But that's what types include. Includes this and also more.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't think I like it for being 3 experience and a 3 cost to put on the field. But I do think there is some interesting... It's an interesting concept.
So I'm going to show you this card.
Yeah.
For people at home, this is Haste. So this is a 3-experience, 2-cost rogue. It's after you perform the same type of action twice in a row, exhaust haste, take another action of that type again. So this one's actually cool. It's like the reverse. It's like the parallel version of haste.
But this one's cheaper.
It's cheaper, but notice it takes up a slot. So like there is a little bit of that in there. It's just like that 1 experience. Also because the theory for these specialist cards is that they are technically neutral. So they're going to always be slightly worse than actual in-class cards.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Knowing that then, like, it's all right. But I've seen, and this is definitely coming from someone who is newer, but has played a lot with you specifically.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of ways that you seem to be able to get more turns for cards that have a larger effect.
Yeah.
And more powerful effect using card combos or card abilities than this card.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair reading. I think this card is... if you want to play 100% optimally, this card is going to be hard for you to trigger without feeling like you're... pulling your own teeth out, right? However, if you are someone who likes to just like put a bunch of random stuff together or like play sequences to take advantage of those sequences, this card I think could be pretty fun to play. One thing I do enjoy, what I've been seeing about the cards in this box, is that they seem to be really rewarding flex style play.
Yeah.
And I think this is that kind of play. Because like now, for example, you get this card into play. Notably, Dreamer, Performer, Sorcerer. This is like a lot of Mystics are Sorcerers. Marie, Jim, also Performer. Dreamer, Luke Robinson. So there's a lot of like Mystics here. Mystics generally also do flex quite a bit because like but like let's just like say this example. Let's just say like just Luke Robinson. You use your Shriveling to kill an enemy. You then use your then you move to a location and then you do a Rite of Seeking and you grab clues from that location. Then you draw a card, right? Like that's what this could then trigger, right? Because you just did 3 different actions in a row.
Okay, so wild question, actually. Yeah. This is causing me to reconsider this card. So first off, I'm actually not looking at this card as being 3 different types of actions. I'm looking at it being 2 different types of actions. And the reason why is because if I look at this card in a different way, I call it a draw card or a resource card.
Yes, yep.
So is 3 experience and 3 cost worth getting 1 free draw every round?
And that's a great way to look at it, and because like I think that is the most accurate use of this. That this card is going to either be a free draw, resource, or move every turn.
Yeah.
Right? Because like even like the move, right? Like just say for example, a pretty easy turn that a lot of players do is like I play a card, I investigate, I draw a card, and then you could move, or like just like swap one of those in it. So like finding this thing, it's a ritual, so like there's not a great way to tutor it up.
Yeah.
That's the question, like, is that worth it to you? And I think that if you can get this in like the first few turns, this will just like rain value down.
I think another interesting question to ask is what counts as a different type of action? So on a character like, I think it's Dexter Drake gets to play a spell.
Like play an asset.
that is a play move, right?
I don't believe so, but I'm going to pull up Dexter. The only reason I don't believe so is... Yeah, they're right here. During your turn, play an asset with a different title. Okay, so someone... Okay, I don't know the answer to this question on the actual rules, but there was some discussion about it.
On this card specifically?
Yeah, it was not about this card, but it was like... the whole thing, because there's a similar thing. So like that haste card I showed you.
Yeah.
There's a card in the rogue class called Lockpick. So this just is a great example of this sort of thing. Where it's an investigate action and also an activate action. So it's both of those actions. Which means that if you did like a lockpicks and then let's say you had a second lockpicks, you could haste to do either an activate or a play.
Yeah.
However, we do not know if that works the same with captivating performance. The assumption is that it does. So then like for example, if you do lockpicks, and you do activate and play.
You only need to do one more action.
You need to know. You still need to do because you have to do. That actually is an interesting question too. Like, do these double actions count as doing two actions at once? Right? Like.
Yeah. Does a double action count as two actions? And I'm also wondering, do free actions count as actions? Because then captivating performance could potentially parlay, like with Red Clock, for example. You get a bunch of extra actions. If you do 3 different types of actions in a row, you could parlay this into another activation with another action with captivating performance. So I'm basically wondering, is there potentially a way to kind of do a weird ramp with this effect?
All right. I'll get to that in a second, but I found the discussion thread.
Yeah.
Anything that's like a lightning bolt plus action designator performs an action.
Okay.
So Dexter, I don't believe he is. During your turn, because it doesn't have the designator. But like, fast cards don't count.
Okay.
So like you can't do like working a hunch.
That's too bad.
But like, for example, there's like lightning bolt cards that are like move.
Yeah.
Right, like that would work.
That would work.
Okay, and then as to your other question, yeah, like, but the thing is, I think for that we need to wait for the FAQ to come in to really know how that one actually works.
But double actions might.
Double actions, if they do, like, if it would be positive for it, like 3 different types of actions in a row, like, that's the question, because like my interpretation of reading the card is that you have to perform 3 different actions in 3 different actions, but like. Is if you perform an action that's a play and an activate, or like an activate and an investigate, does that count as you performing 2 actions in this 3 action sequence?
That's what I'm wondering.
And I think we'll need to see that. My guts, I don't even know. I don't try to know. By the way, if I'm wrong about Dexter Drake, please let me know in the comments, because this is one of those cards that is above my rules pay grade, and I'll just wait for someone else smarter to tell me how it actually works.
Because if that is the case, if there are ways to cheat extra actions in,
It becomes a lot easier to trigger.
It becomes a lot easier to trigger, and if double actions work the way that I'm hoping this does, captivating performance becomes really interesting for unlocking a bunch of opportunities with a double action card.
Yes. And ultimately, like, even with all this conversation, this card really is going to just result to, like, 1 extra card or resource a turn. So, like, it's not, even though with all this, it's not good. It's, like, basically just, like, changes the ability to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have our researched card of the cycle.
Actually, hold on, go back.
Sure.
Weird thought.
Yeah.
What about cards that activate to give you a fight?
Yes, so those work. Yeah, those work.
But would that count as a fight or an activate?
Well, so right now with haste, it counts as both. So we need to figure that out with this.
So with captivating performance, you can cheat an extra fight in there.
No, but the thing is, we don't know. We actually don't really know. My assumption is that you can't.
Okay.
But again, that's just based on what knowledge we have right now. The designers of Arkham go for fun over function all the time.
Good for them.
Yeah. All right, the Dial of Ancients.
Oh, no.
This is an accessory slot, 3 cost, item relic cursed, limit 1 per deck, uses 0 charges. As a reaction after enemy location is evaded, place 1 charge on Dial of Ancients. Then, if there are 4 more charges on Dial of Ancients, record in your campaign log that you have calculated the Day of Reckoning. And it's December 21st, 2012, by the way. All right, Dial of Ancients, they're all 4 experience to get to their upgraded version. They're all limit 1 per deck. Signs of the Cataclysm is limit 1 per deck. They all enter with 4 charges as well. It's a reaction when an investigator fails to skill test your location, exhaust Dial of Ancients. Seal 1 chaos token revealed during that test on Dial of Ancients. Force, when the round ends, for each chaos token sealed here, you must spend 1 charge or release that token. The Signs of Aberration is a fight or evade for an activate action. When you reveal a chaos token during this attack or evasion attempt, you may spend 1 charge to cancel that token, return to the bag, and reveal a new one. You may do this any number of times, and if the test succeeds, deal 1 damage to the targeted enemy.
Oh!
And then we got the Dial of Ancient Signs of Revelation. Lightning Bolt. During your turn, exhaust Dial of Ancients and spend 1 charge. Investigate. When revealing chaos tokens in this test, reveal X additional tokens, where X is the number of enemies at your location. Choose one of the revealed tokens to resolve and ignore the rest. These research cards are always hard to talk about and parse because it's just like an information overload.
I am most interested in the first 2. I think the last one is less useful. Because, okay, so here's the thing. So I see Dial of Ancients as being in a very interesting place because you have to evade.
Yes. You or someone on your team has to evade.
Yeah.
Because it's just if an enemy is invaded, you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that automatically gatekeeps it.
Yes.
In a very interesting way.
Yeah.
At the end of that, though, I look at Dial of Ancients and I go, okay, how often do I want to be investigating after I invade? How often do I want to be in a position where I have to evade and then investigate? So for me, that final card, not the best of all of them. The second one is wild to me. The ability to just pump 1 extra damage. Just pump 1 extra damage seems strong to me. Oh, but because it's an activation with fight or evade, it's not as strong as I think it is.
You have to use your own stat.
You have to use your own stat. Okay, and you can't then pair it with a weapon that's doing some
Correct,
additional
yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's really still only good for evade. Probably the first one, I mean.
Yeah?
Signs of Cataclysm
Yeah.
is probably the most fun you could have with it because you can turn Justin's disastrous always finding the auto fail
Yes.
into something beneficial for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, notably, it stays there until the end of the turn, right? So when the round ends, for each you must spend a charge. So you actually could build a battery to have the auto-fail like sealed feasibly forever, which could be really cool.
Or potentially for 4 rounds, which I think also scales in multiplayer even higher.
Yes.
Like if you get rid of the -4, the -3, or the cult symbol, or the stone tablet, like you're kind of laughing with that Dial of Ancients.
Yeah, I think this card's going to be really fun in Agatha because she can play the Mystic cards that also refill stuff, which can be really cool. Before we get into my thoughts on the designs of the cards individually, I feel like this is a very well-designed cycle of research cards. Generally, with research cards, there's like 1 that's OP, and then 2 that are there.
Yeah.
And then like usually they're bad even, right? I think that these are actually all really well made in terms of their power level across the board. There's a use case for all of them. You were 100% right that Dial of the Ancient Signs of the Aberration, the middle, you have to use your own stat, right? So like Joe Diamond could use his fist. Like he could do this and do his 4 fist and like other use fist boosts with it. But what's so important about Dial of the Ancients is that they finally understood that they should not, if they're gonna let the Seekers deal damage, they can't give them crazy boosts. Because there's that strange solution that came out in the first cycle, and it was you get a fight at 6 fist and deal 3 damage, right?
Yeah, I think I have that one in one of my decks right now.
But right now it's taboo to only deal 6 fist and only 2 damage, which is more reasonable. But this one is you get to fight or evade, and you can deal damage. Right?
And it's only 1 damage. It's not 1 additional damage, right?
It is, right? So like, because you deal 1 damage to the targeted enemy, so if the fight succeeds, you deal 1 damage from the fight, and then you deal an additional damage. With the evade, you just get to deal damage when you evade it, which is admittedly very nice.
Yeah.
However, you don't need to spend the charge to do that. The charge is just for canceling the token, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it more like versatile, and you can actually just use this as a way to deal with small enemies as like a foot-based seeker. The first one I think is also a really fun build around. In high multiplayer formats, this is a really good tool to seal tokens. And like there's been a lot of sealing decks that haven't really been able to do things because there's been limited tools. Having another thing that you can seal with is really nice. And while yes, the bottom one is the least exciting, It is. I mean, I actually think it's also very, very well balanced because a free investigate action is a nice effect to take, right?
Yeah.
But you have to spend charges for this, right? So you only can actually get 4 out of it unless you're doing more. So that's why I think this one's really good because I look at all of them and I actually do think that the investigate one is probably the one that's least appealing, but at the same time, it's still very playable. So I think this whole cycle of cards was really, really well made.
Well, and I think too, it's the unidentified version of it is a pretty decent filter because you're going to need to evade.
Yep.
Or you're going to have someone who can evade. Yep. And if you already have evade tech going on, and you've managed to do it 4 times in a single scenario, you're probably going to keep doing it down the road, which means that investigate one is not the worst to have.
Yes.
Because it means that there are probably going to be evaded enemies.
Yes.
I don't know whether that's actually incredibly strong as a team comp or dynamic, but there is a relationship there.
And like that middle one, the aberration is going to be really good with the investigator that we spoiled, Lucius Galloway. He's going to be wanting to invade because like now with that Dial of Ancients, it's one of those things that you have a build now in your box when you buy the investigator expansion for Drowned City, that you already have something that kind of negates the downside of spending the time to do Dial of Ancients because you're potentially also now getting clues in the process, which is nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Other weird question.
Yeah.
I've occasionally seen you move charges from one object to another.
Oh, yeah.
What's the argument for Dial of Ancients, but instead of upgrading it, you just use it as a charge battery with evading?
Well, because so the only thing that I think is I think it's like level 0. That's fine. Mm-hmm. The only I think the downsides for it is that you have to work on it, right? Most of the other stuff, it's like easier to get the things that have the charges, but you totally could. I think there was already some people. So there's a combo you can do. Actually, honestly, Trish is going to go freaking nuts with this. So the issue is that a lot of the stuff that you want to move the charges onto usually also take accessory slots as well. So that's actually another reason why I think this is really well balanced. But like, so there's a combo where you have an Eldritch Sophist, which can move charges from things, and you have the Red Clock, which you can then remove a charge from that and put it on something else.
Which means you could easily use Red Clock to cheap out Dial of Ancients. But
but even like the upgraded version, right? Like say for example, like what Lucius Galloway can do is he can have like one of the upgraded versions in play, and then use that with Eldritch Sophist to move charges from the Red Clock to immediately get the extra action because you can only get the level 2 Red Clock, and then just like keep loading up on this as well. So it's a pretty cool combo that you can do there. But I do think the level 0 one is interesting as like a charge battery. If you are just doing that, I'm curious to see. I'm gonna actually that's a good thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna check out other charge batteries to see if there's how it competes with that.
Just curious.
All right, the Eye of Ghatanothoa.
Ghatanothoa.
Artifact of the Dark God. So in Arkham, this is the guy that if you look at his face, he kills you. 2 cost, 2 experience. It's exceptional, so it costs 4. Soaks for 3 damage and takes up the accessory slot. You get +1 brain and play with the top card of the encounter deck revealed.
So why do I not love this? Why am I not immediately building an entire deck around being a cultist of this guy?
Yeah.
Because this is, the art is me.
Yeah.
You get +1 brain. It's got incredible soak in Mystic.
Very good soak in Mystic.
It only costs 2 and 2 experience, and you play with the top card of the encounter deck revealed.
Yeah.
This is the best card I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, the card is it's very good. It's very I have like no thoughts on it. I think that it's super playable.
We need to build an entire eye deck at some point.
We definitely could.
Just take all the eye cards.
Yeah, we definitely could. Yeah, I think it's I have like literally no notes on the card. I think like what is knocking it down for like why you wouldn't always include it is it doesn't actually give you any like value, right? Like it just helps you like. I mean, like, seeing the top card of the encounter deck is huge because you can make a lot of informed decisions based on that, right?
Yeah.
But it also doesn't, like, help you win the game because, like, it doesn't actually give you anything to, like, deal with those decisions, right? It's just, like, you know what's coming so you can mitigate it. So, like, that's, like, if I had to, like, criticize the card's power level, that's the thing, right? Like, where I would generally rather have my accessory slot giving me value to win, but at the same time, I would still enjoy playing this card in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it's just good. It's just a good card.
What does exceptional mean?
So that means you can only have 1 in your deck.
Makes sense.
And it costs double the experience cost to put it in. So it's 4 XP.
Ooh, okay, that makes sense.
So it's a bit pricier.
I'm still running it.
Oh yeah, no, I think like if anyone pulled this out, I would never be like, why are you playing that card? I think this is just like a really good option for accessory slots going forward.
How does this work with people who seal the encounter deck?
Like, what do you mean seal?
Like, there's people who can get rid of like treachery cards and stuff like that, or do some sort of weird interactions. Do you see a good value in that?
Yes, yeah. So like Gloria Goldberg,
Yeah.
she is coming out officially in this cycle. She has a thing where her basically is the encounter deck. She controls and manipulates the encounter deck, right? What this basically does is it gives her like information without needing to spend resources on information, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's like what it really comes down to is 4 experience and 1 copy of a card. So you also have to find it worth the information that it gives. If you're comboing with the deck, that's really good. There's a card called Foresight, I think, where you can name a card that someone's about to draw, and if it comes from the encounter deck and you're right, you cancel. If it comes from your deck, it's cheaper. So like you can just like,
this is sick.
it's like you can like do that with this, which I think would be a really nice
fun.
option. Also means you can do it outside of just like Gloria as well, which
Yeah.
I really like it when obviously certain investigators have their niche that they play better than anyone else, but it allows other investigators to also explore that while obviously still being worse.
I agree.
All right, now you saw a card for you. Now let's see a card for me. Nautical Charts. 3 cost. It takes up a hand slot. It's a level 0 survivor card. Item, tome, tool. While it is in your hand, you may perform the below action ability. If you do, discard Nautical Charts instead of exhausting it. Action, exhaust Nautical Charts and investigate. You get +1 book for this investigation. If you succeed, you may discard 1 card from your hand to discover 1 additional clue at your location.
Holy cow. This is a really good card.
It's a very good card.
Yeah, wow, I see why you like it.
Yeah, because it's just like so good.
It's so good.
It's a very good card.
And like it's also in the right color for wanting discards, and it's in the right
100%.
color for just everything.
I'm going to be playing the hell out of this card. So like last year, Chemistry set came out. It's a card that the amount you succeed by, if you succeed by exactly 0, 2, or 4, you get value out of it. And it was like my favorite card of 2024. This card is going to be the card I play so much in 2025. Because like there are so many things like even just for example that persistence card. Remember that skill that you can commit from your discard pile?
Yeah.
I'm going to the moon.
You're going to the moon.
I'm gonna yeah. So like I think it is also like I think it's powerful, but it is gated by exhausting.
Yes.
So like I think it's still entirely fair for what it does.
The fact that you can discard it
yes, which is really cool.
Is really cool. Like just just bursting an investigate out of nowhere if you need to is really, really good.
What I also really enjoy about it is that it gives you. I really only like probably want like one of these in play, and my other hand's probably going to be doing like old keyring or other survivor stuff. And this just means your second copy is activation. It's an event essentially.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Also really good with scavenging.
It's also a great flavor fail. I'm going to make fun of it every time you play it because I'm going to be like, why are you using your nautical charts in the jungle?
Exactly. Yeah,
why are you using your nautical charts in town?
Well, that's because I'm George Barnaby and I'm on a boat and it's all I know. It's all
You're just always on a boat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the card though. Very good. All right, you're gonna love this card. Memories of Another Life. 5 experience. It's one of the specialist ones. It commits for 2 wild. Artist, Believer, Dreamer, and Sorcerer deck only. If this skill test is successful, you may remove Memories of Another Life from the game to search your collection for any non-permanent level 0 cards, even if it does not meet your deck building requirements. Play that card at no cost. At the end of the game, return that card to your collection.
I love it, but I don't think it's strong.
So I think it's quite strong.
Oh yeah?
Just because Toolbox, right? Like Toolbox is always a very powerful effect.
But it's
right?
5 experience and then it's gone.
No, it's not exiled. It's just removed from that scenario.
Oh.
Yeah, just from that scenario.
Oh,
yeah.
then I love this. No,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at that going, I'm sorry, I'm spending 5 experience to do this just once?
No, you get it
Feels
to it
bad.
as many scenarios that you put it in.
Okay, no, I love it. You're right.
At no cost. So that also I'm 99% sure it removes additional costs. Mm-hmm. So there's the double things, which is like draw 5 cards for 2 actions.
Yeah.
Right? There is the gain 8 resources
Yeah.
for 2 actions. There's like Dynamite Blast, so you can just drop 3 damage somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be more things that come that is going to be really exciting. I know someone's going to want us to say it. Sled dogs. You know what sled dogs are?
I don't.
I know you do because you
do.
Looked at them with Charlie.
Yes.
You looked at them with Charlie.
Yeah, I don't remember what they do, but I remember seeing them.
Yeah. So sled dogs, you can include up to 4 of them in your deck. You can exhaust sled dogs, X sled dogs to move X times, and exhaust X sled dogs to fight. You get plus X fist for this attack instead of its standard damage, so this attack deals X damage. So you can get 6 sled dogs if you have the slots for them, the ally slots.
That's
so
amazing.
I know people are gonna want us to say that, and they're gonna. Bryn is probably. I'll put money on it right now that Bryn is gonna say, you know what we can do with this? 6 sled dogs.
6 sled dogs.
Yeah. So I think this card's really cool. I think it's also very strong. I think this is the strongest specialist card we've seen so far.
Yeah, and realizing now that it's not 5 experience to do this once,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that is a fair original assessment because there is exile and remove from the game.
Yeah, and I had them confused.
Yeah, exile actually is just gone and out of there, but
it's also 2 question marks, so you absolutely want to be playing it.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And yeah,
it's very easy to pass. I mean, there's so many good level 0 cards that you can just play. And there's gonna be some that the only hard part for this is I think it's gonna be bad to play with people who don't know what they want from it. Yes. I feel like if you're putting this in your deck, you should immediately pull 8 level 0 cards and just treat it like a sideboard in Magic, and that this is a wish card, right?
If you play it at no cost, there's a temptation too to use this, speaking of just getting extra turns or extra actions, to use this to play a card that gives you a fight action. Mm-hmm. To use this as a card that just gives you another investigate action. This card potentially tempos. You take an investigate action to get that clue. You take another, you played this, and then you play a card that gives you an investigate action at 0 level, or you use this to really punch down a boss.
Yep. I mean, what would also be really cool is the thing that makes this card so good is that it's anything, right? Say for example, you're in a situation and you're do you know what we really need? We just need to we need to just discover some clues. So you're okay, I'll just play intel report and grab these 2 clues from this victory location 2 away, and that's. This card is never gonna, it's 5 experience, and I think it feels like a 5 experience card. It's never going to, be crazy, impressive, mm-hmm. right? But it's always gonna be very good, right?
Yeah.
It's never gonna, you're never gonna be, I don't know, because it's limited to level 0 cards, but, it could be fucking anything. It could be anything. Right? Worst case scenario, you just grab 8 resources. You need money? How about I just divvy up 8 among the group, right? Yeah. We need cards? Take 5, right? This is... But it's also limited to Artist, Believer, Dreamer, and Sorcerer, which I think is really cool as well.
I love that.
I know. I think this is a really, really nice card. I think they really did a good job with this one.
Every time I play it, I'm going to refer back to my memories as Dexter Drake.
Yes! It is Liquid Courage! All right. Artistic Inspiration. This is a 2-cost Seeker asset. It's a talent. Limit 1 per investigator, uses 1 inspiration. As a lightning bolt, exhaust Artistic Inspiration to discard 1 card from your hand. Replenish 1 inspiration on this card. So replenish, if you don't know at home, means you cannot go above its uses. You can replenish the uses. As a reaction after revealing a chaos tokens for a skill test you're performing, spend 1 inspiration. You get +1 or -1 skill value for this skill test.
I kind of like this card. And part of it is the sales pitch of the art that they've chosen to do.
Yeah, with Richard Upton Pickman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they one day made Richard Pickman as a character, as an investigator, I would never play anyone else, no matter how bad he was. I'd be so lost.
Yeah.
I really like this card. I think it's well balanced for its cost. It commits for a wild. Its biggest weakness is that it's 1 per investigator. But I think this is actually kind of fun. Mm-hmm. I also think the discard 1 card is really interesting. There's stuff you can do with that.
Yep. So I think notably, I also think this card's super playable. I think it's pretty good. It's great for George Barnaby because now he has a way to get a discard out of like at any moment. So at any lightning bolt window, so he can like do it in the Mythos phase, right, to draw cards to get more from his ability. I think that it's going to be really good in in Seekers that have Survivor in their pool because there's some more synergy that exists there. I also do think I saw some discussion of this that I don't think it's too much of a bend that Seeker gets a Survivor lucky like mechanic. They already had it with Lab Coat. Like the Survivor, the Seeker like has like a 1 buffer. They can do it by like 1, right? Like they can round up to pass a test. What I like most about this card though is that it's really good with Chemistry Set, and I think that's really sick.
Yeah.
The Precision Seeker, where it's all about like succeeding by exact numbers. This card's going to be a really nice tool to further give you that. And when I saw this card, I said in our Discord that I am going, all right, fine, in 2025, I'll play Min and Daryl Chemistry Set. I haven't played them in Chemistry Set yet, but this card means that they're going to be very good in it. Because again, I feel like it's like, this actually would be a pretty interesting hybrid card of like Survivor and Seeker. Because when I see this card, I don't think I would play it unless I had Survivor in my pool. Because generally, Seeker cards aren't there to be discarded unless you're like using like the Occult Lexicon. But in a Survivor, you have so many cards you want to discard. Like about that Min deck, even just like once again going back to Persistence, right?
Yeah, Persistence, absolutely. Yeah.
Or Perseverance, not Persistence. Because Perseverance is optimistic. Persistence is annoying in terms of like how we define those words. Yeah, I think is it Persistence? It's Perseverance.
I thought it was Persistence, but only because you said it first.
Maybe I might have. I think I brainwashed myself.
I hope you brainwashed yourself out of it.
It is Persistence. Huh.
Except it's Oh no, it is Persistence, not Persistent.
Yeah, Persistence.
Okay, well we got there.
We did. I should just trust my gut.
I like this card.
I do too.
Give us Pikmin.
Yeah. And Ozymandias. Someone in the comments said that was old art from Arkham Horror 3rd edition, so I don't think my theory is true, unfortunately.
Upsetting.
But I want him to be. Bring us Ozymandias.
And Pikmin. All right, now Eric, this last card you might notice is familiar. I do.
So, funny story, there was a bit of a mix-up. The card that we spoiled in our video, we didn't actually spoil it, but I released a thumbnail with this in it. So Eric and I did this in part of our original spoiler video, but this wasn't actually, we received this card accidentally in our spoiler thing. So I cut it out of our first discussion about it. So Eric and I have actually already talked about this card for that video. Locked and loaded, 3 experience, permanent limit 1 per deck. Your firearm assets with uses ammo enter play with 1 additional ammo on them. Yeah, I mean, I think like if you're playing a bunch of small gun decks, go for it, right? Just shoot more gun. I wish it wasn't limit 1 per deck. However, that is a very easy taboo if they do decide to do that. I just feel like you should be able to run 2 of these. I just don't think it would be that crazy if you could. Unless there's like some sort of other gun card that we're going to be seeing with Michael McGlenn spoilers, which I imagine is going to be in January, that makes this suddenly be like, oh yeah, that's why you don't want that to happen. But
bring me more World War I themed Lovecraft.
Yeah, you got to play Mark Harrigan.
I mean like as a campaign.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. But unfortunately, I think they've never gone back. I do think that they should go back and they should like be a bit more experimental with how they do this stuff.
Or go into the mind of a soldier still living in the trenches to find his memory of when Nyarlathotep was in the trenches with him. Like, there's so much we could do with this.
Yeah.
And I just love this image. I love this visual. I actually love what the card does. I think 3 experience for a no-cost asset is really, really fun with this.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too, that because it doesn't read super flashy, but then you have to remember you always draw it, it's always in play, it's always active.
Yeah.
So basically it just like makes all your guns slightly better.
And you had mentioned that there were some guns you would want to actually combo with this because you can actually start in-game with the ammo you need.
Yes, yeah, and like also like there's the 45 Thompson, which gives you more... So I mean, like every experience, you're basically playing for like, with like the shotgun, it now comes in with 3, so you get like 33% more card, right? Like yeah, it's sorry we don't have much to say about it because we already talked about it in great detail, and I can't go back there. but like I think the card is good. I think
Just
it's
like
good.
Arkham, Justin cannot go back.
Yes. Yeah. All right, but that's it though. That is our roundup for this one here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed these spoilers. I think this was a really good batch of cards. There was a lot of really cool stuff here for this one. And I think we have, how many more spoilers do we have left? I'm actually just going to quickly open up the spoiler schedule, which you can currently see down in our video description. All right, Drowned City preview season.
I'm so excited for the art, by the way. Drowned City has been really knocking it out of the park with all the art I've been seeing.
Man, oh yeah, so we're just over halfway. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more days of spoilers at the time of recording this video. There will already be more out. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch more out by the time this video goes live. But yeah, super exciting.
Yeah.
And then soon we're going to see the full box too, which is really fun. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good one. If you want to support our channel, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, or if you want to go above and beyond, you can join all these fine people down in the video description by going to our Patreon page, where I release 2 deck lists a month, a gameplay video a week, and game days, Patreon game days once a month. Whew, we did it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and as always, a GG's.